Valley Boys TCGCK here, and today we're going to go over how to play the Godzilla card game. Now today we're going to use the blue and red starter deck together, and we're going to go through a gameplay to kind of explain the stages and how the game plays out. Now what's interesting about the game is there are actually two ways to win. There's either through invasion or through countering. Start off, both sides draw their 5 cards. We'll both reveal our stage 1 monsters into area 1. Alright, now that both sides have drawn their first 5 cards, we don't know if there's any mulligan rules for this game, so we're going to assume that there isn't. Now, I have put the rage cards on both zones already there, make it a little easier accessible, but you can have them off to the side depending on how you want to play. So both sides start off with 5 cards. Blue is going to go ahead and go first for this, so we're going to go ahead and draw 1 card. Now, the draw at the start of your turn is dependent on what the level of your opponent's monster is. Since we're against a level 1, we only draw 1. Now, typically going first, there's not much to do except move forward. So you're going to have to decide what you want to do to progress your card stage. Now, during this main phase, there are a few different steps you can take. You can go ahead and you can play battle cards, you can use strategy cards, you can invade, or which is basically moving forward. You can play your monster card. Now, monster card is stacking a monster from your deck over your current monster. Can't really do that at this point in the game. You can only do it once per turn. You can do it once per turn, and then you can gain rage. Now, the important thing to remember: strategy only twice per turn. Invading or moving forward again once per turn. Same thing as playing a monster card, also once per turn. And then rage is unlimited, as well as playing battle cards. Now, to play a battle card, you can only play a battle card with the level that matches what zone your opponent is at. Since going first, your opponent's at zone 1. Typically, the starter decks don't have any zone 1 battle cards, but there are some in the actual booster packs, so keep an eye out for those in case you want to early counter and set up some defensive plays. Since we can't really play any strategies, the strategies are dependent on what zone you're in, all we can really do here going first is toss something to move forward. And judging by what we have in our hands, I think we're going to go ahead and toss the strategy card. Now this one has a movement of 2. This is the Legend of Infant Island. It has a 2-step. Now, important deck building. If you have a 2 in the bottom corner there, you can only run 10 of those in a deck. So we're going to go ahead and use that to invade for 2 spaces and then go into counter step. Now, counter phase is where you add up all your battle cards and compare it to your opponent's battle or your opponent's threat level. Obviously, we have no battle cards, so there's really no counter phase to do here. And then end of turn, you draw till you have 5. Now, since we still have 5 cards in hand, we do not draw, so we wait. And then the very final step, you do get to advance your character 1. So even if you don't use an invade step, you will advance 1 step each turn. Now, going for the first turn on the red side, our opponent is still a level 1, so we will draw. Now, because our opponent does have a monster at zone 4, that means we can use battle cards up to a 4 cost. Currently, we only have 1 in hand. We're going to go ahead and play that in zone 8. Now, when you play battle cards, you can play them to any zone. The best thing to do is always make sure you have something in zone 8, especially when they get close to the end, because the only way they can invade is if they invade over an empty spot on your 8th spot. So if you keep something there, if they can't destroy it, they're going to be stuck. Now, next here, we're trying to decide what to do. I think I want to hold on to some of these cards. Now, deciding what we want to do here, we don't have any 2 advanced steps, so we're going to go ahead and just toss 1. We're going to toss a strategy card, Godzilla Emerges, to advance our state 1 spot. And then we will step into counter step. Now, counter step, we're going to add our combat power against their threat level. Now, their threat level is 6,000. Our combat is only 2,000, so we will not be able to counter. There's no downside to failing the counter. So no counter there. End turn, we get to move 1 step. Now, before we pass over to our opponent, we have to make sure we're only at 4 cards, so we do get to draw back up to 5. Now it is back to Blue's turn. Now, Blue is going to see that our opponent is still level 1 monster, so we will draw 1 for the level 1 kaiju. Now here's where we can start making some movements. Now they are in zone 3, so that does limit us, but we do have a Mothra here that we can play out. I'm going to play it here in zone 2. Now Mothra, the larva stage, has an interesting effect here. This is Blue's kind of specialty here, and that is evolution. This has evolution 5, so at the start of my next step, hopefully this Mothra survives the turn, because there are ways to destroy your opponent's battle card. So if Mothra stays here for the next turn, it'll automatically let me search my deck for a rank 5 Mothra and play it over it. So we're going to play that out. Now there's really nothing else we can do to counter here. And we don't want to move too fast. But I think we're in an okay spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to toss this Godzilla that has a 1 step so that we can advance 1. And then we'll go ahead and go into our counter step. Now, in our counter step, we only had 1,000 power against 6,000, so nothing will happen there. Then, end of our turn, we draw back up to a hand size of 5 and advance 1 step. Pretty simple gameplay so far. The interesting thing about the Godzilla card game is that it plays kind of like a board game where you're just trying to get to the end. So, it is Red's turn. Red will draw 1 for being against a level 1 kaiju. And now, our opponent is in stage 6, so we have a few more cards that we can play at this point. So the first thing is, we're going to toss a Ginzo Annihilated just to advance us 1. Now, the point of advancing there is so that we can play a strategy 4. Now remember, strategies depend on what zone you're in, so we get to zone 4 in order to be able to play a zone 4 strategy. Now this strategy states, your turn, whenever my threat level or my rage increases, I get to destroy one of their rank 6 or lower. So we're going to target that. We're going to do this. Tossing a monster allows you to increase your rage by 1. Now that we've increased our rage, that activates our strategy card, and that'll allow us to destroy the Mothra on the blue side, preventing them from going in and doing their evolution. It'll also increase our threat level, so it'll be harder for them to deal with and counter. Now the next step I think we're going to do here is we will go ahead and play the Godzilla here. Now unfortunately we cannot increase our rage more. Now Red's strategy here is to try to increase the rage. A lot of the effects are dependent on rage, so we get to destroy something whenever we increase our rage here. The Godzilla battle counter, Godzilla 2023, the battle card for Godzilla 2023, enter if your monster has 2 or more rage, reduce your opponent's rage by 1. So it doesn't really matter because again, our opponent doesn't have any rage on their sides, and we don't have 2 rage anyway. So Red really plays around with the rage. Blue is just trying to turbo up the counter. We don't have anything else we want to play this turn, so we're going to go ahead and end our main phase and head into the counter step. Now in counter time, we're going to add up our battle again. We're at 2,000 and 3,000 here, so there's nothing that we can counter. We're at 2,000, 3,000, so we're not big enough to counter them yet, so nothing will happen. End of turn, we will draw our hand size back up to 5. Since we're down to 2, we will draw 3 and then advance 1 step. Now going back to blue side, we're still against a level 1, so we only draw 1. Now this is where the benefit of countering comes into play, because the more you counter, the bigger you can kind of get your hand size. Now unfortunately, losing that piece does affect us a bit, but we can kind of get there. So what we're going to do here first, we're not going to advance too much, is we will go ahead and play Super X. Now Super X has a few steps. Awakening 4, so as long as we are above the level 4, we meet the awakening requirement, so it activates it. It unlocks the effect to be able to use. Now its effect is enter. If this card is in zone 8, reduce your opponent's anger by 1. This is to counter Red here. We get to reduce their anger by 1. They won't be as big. Now that alone won't be enough to counter our opponent, but they're in zone 5, which means we can play something else here. And we're going to go ahead and play this Mothra into zone 2 out of the way. Now, the important thing about this Mothra, enter if this card was played through evolution, draw one. Now, we're not playing it through evolution, we're only just hard playing it, so we will not get that effect because it wasn't through evolution, but that's fine because we are increasing our threat level here. A monster card to increase our rage, to make it harder for them to counter us, seeing as they already have some battle cards set up. Now, we'll go ahead and end our main phase. We'll go into counter phase. Now, counter phase, we have 5,000 and 3,000, making that 8. That means our opponent's monster is countered. And now take the next level from our monster card and play it over our current kaiju. Countering in the first 5 zones has no effect. However, if we are in zone 6, 7, or 8, you'll see that there are downward arrows. If you are countered in zone 6, you will go to 5, countered in 7 to 4. If you are countered in zone 8, you will drop all the way back to zone 3. So being strategic with when and where to counter, how fast you want to move up the ladder, is very important in the game. With you being countered, you are now unlocking more power. So our Godzilla has moved from a 6,000 to an 8,000 threat level. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it will come in handy. Now that will end Blue's turn. We are down to 3 cards, so we will draw 2 to bring us back to 5 to end our turn and advance 1. Red's turn, we are still against a level 1, so we only get to draw 1. Now Red needs to do something to counter here because we're not in the best of positions. So what we will try to do here is, since our opponent is in area 7, we can start playing some larger cards. We're going to play another Shinichimaru, and then we're going to need to move up. We're going to toss a strategy card here to move up just 1 rank. Now this is going to be where we have to really start using our hand. So we're going to toss 2 monster cards, a stage 2 and a stage 3. Now that we've tossed the strategy card to invade or advance ourselves forward, this triggers its when invading effect. Search your deck for up to 1 rank 3 card named Godzilla 2023 with burst. Reveal it, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So we're going to go ahead, we get to search for a rank 3 Godzilla 2023 and reveal it. Here is the Godzilla 2023. It has rank 3 and burst, so we are able to add that to our hand to shuffle. Now this is going to be a very important card for our next turn. So what we're going to do here now, we're going to toss 2 monster cards to increase our threat level by 10,000. We're going to add 2 rage. Each rage adds 5,000. So we're going to go from 8,000 to 18,000. And then finally, we're going to play City Tokyo here. Now this battle card is going to be a nice battle card to play. Almost forgot, last turn, we need to toss our strategy card. Start of our turn, we destroy a strategy card that we have played previously. Now, City of Tokyo says, if your monster has 2 or more rage, your other battle cards in Zone 8 gain 5,000. So we're going to boost this to a 7k, and then Awakening 6, since we are on stage 6, your other battle cards in Zone 8 gain another 5,000. So we are giving a 10,000 boost here, making it 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17k. So now that we have 17k, we're going to head into the counter step. Our opponent is only at 6,000, so it will be countered. Now the blue counter will knock him back from zone 7 to zone 4, then allowing us to power up our monster. Now the nice thing here is our level 2 Godzilla 1989 enters, destroy one of your opponent's rank 4 or lower battle cards. So as he enters, he destroys a rank 4 or lower, and we are going to go ahead and target the battle card that is in zone 8 as it is in our way. And now that our turn officially comes to an end, we will advance 1 step and we will draw 3 cards to replenish our hand back up to 5. Remember, you replenish back up to 5 at the end of your turn. Now on to Blue's turn. Now we are up against a stage 2 kaiju, so we can go ahead and draw 2 to match. So we see that our opponent is moving very well. So we're going to have to be a little strategic in what we want to do here. And I think what we want to do is to try to counter him back. If we can counter him well here, we will both move him back a step and destroy one of their battle cards. Since they are in 7, we can play something into zone 7. Or since he is in zone 7, we can play up to a stage 7. So we're going to go ahead and play Mecha Godzilla. I think I want to play it here in zone 1 out of the way. So we need to remember to reset our rage at the start of our turn and toss any strategies we played. They are at 18, so can we get up to 18 is the tricky question. We'll go ahead and toss 1 to advance 1 more step. Now we are at 13, and I think our next step is we're going to go ahead and play a Batra here, and then we're going to hold off on any other battle cards just in case we need them. We're also not going to increase our rage because at this point we're okay with taking a step back if we need to. So we're going to kind of play it defensive as blue. So now we have 5,000 from Mecha Godzilla, 5,000 from Mothra, 5,000 from Batra. Now hits Awakening is 6. We're not there. Unfortunately, we can't get there in this turn because you can only advance once. We have 3 here, so we're at 18, it matching our opponent's threat level. So with the matching, it does counter. Countering will knock Godzilla back onto one of its own battles, tossing it and forcing it to advance to the next level. Now blue's in a good position to try to go for the counter victory. Now Godzilla's level has increased to 23,000. Meanwhile, we are at 4. Draw back up to 5. End of our turn. We advance. Now red's really going to need to do something here. We are against a 2, so we get to draw 1, 2 more cards, and move ourselves forward. So I think what we're going to do here is first play some reinforcements onto zone 8. Now it does have an Awakening 4 as long as we're in 4. It'll increase its combat power by 3,000, making it a 5,000 point. Now this is where we play a monster card. You can, as long as the monster cards are the same level. So since we're at level 3, and of course I keep forgetting to reset the rage. Start a turn, we need to reset that rage. We could increase our rage, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to enter here. This will allow us to destroy one of our opponents 4 or lower. So we're going to go ahead and destroy that Super X. Get it out of the way so there's one less thing in our way when we're ready to push in. Now one thing of note, burst 2, meaning if we were still at level 2, we would be able to play this, but at the end of the turn we would get rid of it, go back to level 2. Since we're at 3, we're just sliding into a different level 3 so that we can destroy something and keep going on our way. Now remember, our opponent is at 15, so we want to be careful about how we want to approach this. This city of Tokyo will not do anything because we are not in zone 6 for the Awakening, and we don't have 2 rage to get that one. So we need to try to move forward and set something up. What we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead, toss a Ginza to move ourselves up 1 step, and then we will just end our turn there, go into counter stage. Now at counter, we are not big enough to counter our opponent because we're only at 5, 6, 7, 8. And with Awakening needing to be 6, this city of Tokyo does absolutely nothing. So fail to counter, but we do still advance. Now blue is making some good steps. We're against a 3, so we get to draw 3. Now the trick is, can we be very, very cautious? Now our opponent's at a 6, so we can play something of a 6 here. We're going to go ahead and drop the Batra there. And then I think we're going to try to play this safe. And since we are still at a 2, now this is a very big 2, he's at 15,002, but we're going to beef him up just a little bit more. We're going to go ahead and toss 4 monster cards. Now remember, increasing rage is unlimited. So we're going to go ahead and increase our rage by a whopping 20k. Now the reason to do this is it puts us in a very good spot to survive the turn and attempt the invasion victory, our next step. Now we're going to go ahead and go counter step. We know our opponent's at 23. Now luckily Mecha Godzilla lines up nicely where he gets a boost, so he is at 8, 18, 23. So we actually match with our opponent right now. We are kind of threatening the counter victory because with that counter knocking us back, we set our red to level 4. Now, we got lucky because we did line up our Mecha Godzilla here in the corner to be able to get that boost in this turn, making him an 8,000 because he gets 3,000 as long as he's in the same column. Now, when it asks for columns, this is where it is important to remember where your zones line up on the board. Your column 1 lines up with your opponent's 6 and 5. So 18, 23 matched our Godzilla since it had no rage. Now we forgot to draw this back up to 5. This should be at 5 on the red side now that we're here. But we've countered and we set them at level 4. And with that counter, that'll end our turn. We'll go ahead and draw back up to 5 on this side. Start of our next turn, we will be able to draw 4, and then we advance. So here we are threatening a very, very powerful play next turn. And since our opponent is still only level 2, we're only going to get to draw 2. So our hand size should be 7 here, because we have 5 from the last turn plus the 2. And we really need to do something here. We need to be very cautious of where we're at. Now, with all their rage, they're going to be at 35. Can we counter a 35? It does not look good. So what we're going to attempt to do here is make ourselves bigger. So we're going to toss 2 here to give ourselves 2 rage. Toss 2 monsters to give ourselves 2 rage. Now, when invading, if this card has 2 or more rage, your opponent discards cards until they only have 2 cards remaining in their hand. This is where we're going to go for the disruption turn. We're going to go ahead and toss another strategy, 7 strategy, to invade 1. Now that will trigger its effect since we are at 2 rage. So our opponent, blue, will be forced to toss. So they will toss 3 cards to leave themselves with just 2. It's a good disruption for red. And now we will attempt to counter that 25. Our best bet is to play a couple more reinforcements. Each of these are awakening 4. Since we are at 6, they all awaken, so they are each 5,000. This will also trigger our City of Tokyo to give us another 10,000. Now we're going to play another City of Tokyo here to give ourselves another 10. The City of Tokyo is awakening 6, and if you have 2 or more rage. So this is 20, 25, 30, 35, 36, 37, and 38. 38,000 against 35. Giving us a successful counter. Now that successful counter will knock this Godzilla back and force it to reveal its level 3. Now this level 3 is very interesting, but we'll get to it in a second. We're going to go ahead and clean up red's side. Red does get to advance 1, and since we only have 1 card in hand, we will draw back up to 5. Now blue, level 3, Godzilla 1992. Enter. Play 2 rank 4 or lower battle cards with evolution from your discard. So this will let us find any of our larva stage, which unfortunately we only have 1. But that's fine because it played at the enter step. So it still wasn't the end of our opponent's turn. So at the start of the turn, we will be able to do our stuff. So now, start of turn, our opponent is a level 4, so we will draw 4. Putting our hand size to 6, it would have been nice to be 9. And then evolution 5, which states at the beginning of your main phase, you search for the rank 5 Mothra. So we get Mothra, place it over, and then shuffle our deck and place it back. Now we are rank 3, so we're going to have to think of a few things to do here. Our opponent is at the 7th stage. Now, also start of our phase, we need to remember to reset our rage cards. Rage and strategies need to be cleared out at the start of your turn. So what we will do here, we'll go ahead, toss a Destroya to move up 2 spaces. This will clear our space to play another Mothra and another Batra. And then we know he's got a lot of good stuff that he's ready to counter us with. So we're going to go ahead and just leave it there. Now, unfortunately, he is at 48, and we are currently not big enough to counter that. So we are only, our opponent's at 38, we're only at, oh, they're at 48, we're only at 31. We do have the Batras at 8,000 apiece, but it still won't be enough to counter our opponent, so we're going to have to hope to survive the turn. We're down to 3 cards in hand, nothing that we are ready to use at this point, so we're going to go ahead and end our turn. We'll draw 2 more to leave ourselves back to 5, and then end of turn we advance. That advance does go over one of our battle cards, so it will trample it. So we're going to be there. Blue is going to be stuck at 18. Meanwhile, red is going to be threatening the end. Now, since we're against a level 3, 1, 2, and 3, and it is red's turn. Now, red has a chance to really make it work if they have the right cards. So, red, clear your strategy, clear your rage. First thing we're going to do is we're going to play Ginza Annihilated. Now, your turn. Whenever your monster cards rage increase, destroy one of your opponent's rank 6 or lower. This is very important because what we're going to do here, toss to increase the rage. Now, when we increase the rage, we're going to target Batra, clearing zone 8. And now all we have to do is play a 2 cost to advance 8 and invade. It will trample over what we have in 8, but we get the invasion victory, and it is victory red. Not too bad. The Godzilla card game is a very fun game. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. Hope this made it a little easier to understand and follow. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If I did anything wrong, please let me know. This game is a week old. I'm still figuring it out, but I'm hoping this made it easier for a lot of new players into the game. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. Come back next time.